Dibya, you will need somebody to help you, right? To assist you. Okay. Okay, he said he will be there, right? Okay. Or you want me to talk to HOD about it? Like, it's man. Okay.
माधुरी मैडम, रुको रुको, आप म्यूट हो तो अपना वीडियो प्ले देखिए देखिए देखिए, ये तो माइक ऑन है ना। दिव्य सर, विनोद सर, आम ऑडियो ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर, प्लीज। करके रखिएगा।
नहीं अब हो रहा है. Sorry, sir, but it's very actually it's lagging. Divya, Divya, you are able to hear me? Swadhin sir, please try your video. I don't think the audio is audible actually.
Madam, once again I'm playing it.
Sir,
Is it audible?
no, it's not
No,
audible. No,
it's not audible.
no, it's
But
not
my
audible.
mic is on and but mic is on and so should I?
What you're talking is audible, but the music is not.
Earlier I was not using. Now I'm thinking to use it. Should I use a headphone? I'm using a
Laptop.
laptop.
Yeah, he is. I was in his office and it is audible in his. Divya, can you play it at your end? Okay. Sir, are you trying?
Yes, I'm trying to set the audio. Uh, it should be. Let me to use headphone rather and check.
I think there are guests waiting in the lobby. Divya, please look into that with getting this message. Oh,
So this time, is it audible or still not
no, it
audible?
was not. I don't think it was audible.
So I have tried from all the.
Let me try for my.
Okay. See my map. Okay, you try.
Is it working? Was it working?
Oh, it's play. Video is been playing, but audio is not there.
Audio was not working.
Yes.
I'm getting this synchronization error. Please try again later. It's a network
So
issue. Divya, you have to manage since you're using. Can you download the video? Do you have that mail? I'm forwarding it to you. You don't even have to download it. It can be just played. Okay, okay. You're saying it's not possible. So let us try.
you are not properly audible, madam.
I stopped sharing it. Let me try here.
So can you use another laptop or desktop?
Sir, you have to also call sir.
Yes, yes. Let me do my okay.
Vinod sir.
Madhuri, hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Sir.
Were you
Sir.
asking me?
Good evening, sir.
Namaskar.
No, sir. Actually, I. Sir. Sir, I was checking with Like KV actually, we know.
Okay, all right, all right.
So we are unable to play the video, so we are trying how to.
You could have done it in Google Meet. It would have been quite convenient.
So actually, the university has given this. They want us to do in this. So
Microsoft Teams.
yes, sir.
All right. All right. So Dr. Durga Mohapatra has not joined yet, right?
Sir, Swadhin sir is trying to call him now. So.
Okay. Okay. So is there any problem in sharing or what?
Sir, there is a 5 minutes introductory video which the university has shared. We have to
That
play that. Yes,
that is
sir.
not
So
right.
yes, sir. We're trying to do that, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Swadhin sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir, I think now I'm able to play it.
But it's not audible at my end. Sound is not.
Divya, was the sound audible?
No, it is not audible.
Or it will not?
It's audible now.
No, sir, it's not.
It's audible now.
So you are audible, but the video is not.
Okay. So we have to play the video like this only.
Yeah, let us play it like that only.
Okay.
Anyway, the audio is just the music. I think we have a
Okay.
choice now. But last time it worked.
No, it's not working from mobile, neither from mobile nor from this laptop. Okay.
So now let us concentrate on the other aspects of today's meeting.
Okay. Poster is visible.
Yes. Sir, you have reminded sir, right?
तो टीम के मैं जमा पे कंफर्टेबल नहीं
Divya sir, it's audible video.
Audible,
Okay,
audible.
okay, okay.
Go
Finally,
ahead.
okay, okay. Finally, it works. ठीक है.
Yes, sir. 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 The star is not able to connect. Can you give the link? Can you add him? Sir, Durga sir is not able to connect. To his mail ID, can you send something? He can't. Durga at NIT R Durga here.
सर आपके पास है या मैं दूं?
Hi madam, but post has to send it.
हाँ ठीक है सर, मैं आपको सेंड कर रही हूँ छोटा लिंक। देखिए मैंने आपको व्हाट्सएप किया है।
is not able to log in.
Swadhin? Swadhin? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Swadhin? Dr. Durga has not joined it.
Sir, actually, he is trying that URL that is being sent to him is getting some problem
Okay.
actually. So we are trying to resend the URL again.
All right, all right.
Okay, sir.
Hello?
Divya, can you add sir directly in the this thing, in the Microsoft team? Divya? Yeah, it is the
Divya sir, Durga @nitrkl.sc.in. DURGA @nitrkl.sc.in. सर नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
थैंक्स
प्लीज।
नमस्कार नमस्कार सर भल अछंती?
हाँ सर 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 नमस्कार सर। So sorry for sir late joining, there's a problem, so that's why I got
Okay.
delayed in
All
connecting.
right, all right. All right, sir. No problem. Welcome. Welcome.
Sir.
we start sir
Yes,
okay
please.
Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Dr. Swadhin Kumar Barisal, Associate Professor in the Computer Science Department, Shiksha Anusandhan University. So before I start the session, being the coordinator of this session, let me to introduce the university by playing a small video. So just Thank you. Now let me to give a short introduction to our guest speaker. We have today with us Professor Durga Mohapatra sir. Uh, Professor Mohapatra received his PhD from IIT Kharagpur and ME from REC College, that is now known as NIT Rourkela, in the Computer Science Department. He joined as a faculty in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at NIT Rourkela in 1996, where he is now a full professor. His research interests include software engineering, real-time systems, discrete mathematics, and distributed computing. He has published more than 100 research papers in various reputed journals and conferences. He has guided more than 20 PhD theses in this area. He has received Young Scientist Award for the year 2006 by Odisha Vigyan Academy. He has received Professor K. Rumogaman National Award and Maharashtra State National Award for outstanding research work in software engineering for the year 2009 and 2010 respectively by IST, Indian Society for Technical Education, New Delhi. He has also received NITRA Research Excellence Award by NIT Rourkela Alumni Association for the year 2019. Professor Mohapatra has co-authored the book Elements of Discrete Mathematics, a computer-oriented approach, published by Tata McGrail Publications. Currently, he is a member of ACM, CSI, and Fellow of Institutes of Engineers, and a senior member in IEEE. So, with this short introduction, I would like to request Professor Mohapatra sir to start his session talk. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Swadhin. So, is it audible? Am I audible, Swadhin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible.
And what the slide is visible?
Yes, audible.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
This slide I have shared, Binod sir, is it visible slide?
Yeah, it is
Yes,
visible.
sir.
It is visible. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Binod sir and HOD madam, Swadhin, my dear other students, colleagues. So the time is less, but still then I will try to wind up. I have chosen this subject keeping in mind this placement of these undergraduate students and postgraduate students. So nowadays you see every company you go, they are emphasizing on this agile software development. So because see previously you have known many software development lifecycle models such as waterfall model, prototype model, iterative model, spiral model, and so on. Each model has some advantages and some disadvantages. So why there is a motivation of agile software development and what are the popular agile software development models today we will discuss. So I have divided my talk into two parts. First, the generic term agile software development. What do you mean by agile software development? What are the necessity, the history before this? Then I will come one particular example of agile software development model and technique. So I may take a little bit more time, maybe 15 minutes extra as given by 40 minutes. So I may take 1 hour. I request the organizers to please allow me so that we can complete it. Students can get a flavor with what happening on this agile software development. Okay. So let's see this motivation behind agile software development. I have already told you we have known so many software development lifecycle models. Every model is having its advantages and disadvantages. The major drawback is that these traditional models, they follow some static working strategy. What do you mean by static working strategy? That means in the static working strategy, everything is fixed. One in waterfall model you will take, you have collected the requirements, then you are going to design, then coding, and if there is any change from the requirement, it comes, change request, no, you cannot handle. Any error you are finding in the testing phase, you cannot go immediately to the previous phase, coding phase. Again, you have to go to the beginning. So in this way, the traditional models are static. They are very rigid, very difficult to change the requirements or to change the scope, to change the schedule, etc. And the duration is in terms of years. Once you start the project, it will take some years to get the end product. So there are other drawbacks for each model that will not spend time on this. We'll go for this why this agile software development has come into force and what is the motivation behind this, the history also. So in order to overcome these drawbacks, several major software vendors, what they have done, they have been adopting a form of intelligent development. So you have known intelligent and intelligent computing, etc. You have known. So artificial intelligence you have known. So several vendors, they have adopted a form of intelligent development where in one or more phases of the development processes. In the classical waterfall model, the different phases are requirement analysis, design, coding, testing, etc. So to overcome the drawbacks which we have just discussed, some of the software vendors, they have tried to adopt the intelligent development in one or more of these phases. So out of these new models, Agile is one. So Agile is a very well-known example of a life cycle model which is used to build intelligent and analytical systems. So you can use Agile models to develop intelligent and analytical systems. Please remember, this Agile development, it is not promoting the best practices. Rather, what it does, it focuses on adaptive planning and evolutionary development. This planning that you are making, that is not rigid as like in classical or traditional models. This is adaptive in nature. You can change and evolutionary development. It is not just one time, it evolves. The software evolves by using this Agile terminology, so that anytime any change is coming from a customer, it can be easily incorporated. So this is what is this Agile. So what is this Agile software development? Agile means what? What do you mean by Agile? Agile means easily moved, light, it's nimble and active software processes. So basically, if it is light, it can be easily moved, you can easily change the request, you can incorporate the change request, it is nimble and active software processes. That's what meant by Agile. Then how agility you can achieve in your software development process? Agility can be achieved by fitting the process to the project. So you have to develop, you have to use, you have to find out a process, you have to follow a process which will fit to the project. Then only you can achieve Agile. If your process is something, your project you are doing something, it is not quite fitting, there's a gap, then you cannot achieve agility. In order to achieve agility, you have to fit the proposed process to the project. Another important thing, how you can achieve agility is by avoiding things that waste time. In a classical waterfall model, one of the activity that wastes time is documentation. In classical waterfall model, most of the time is spent in documentation. At the end of every phase, you are documenting something. For example, at the end of requirement analysis, you are creating a document, SRS document. At the end of design phase, you are creating data flow diagrams, UML diagrams, data dictionary, ER diagrams, etc. At the end of coding, the code itself. At the end of testing, the testing manual, the test report, etc. So at the end of every page, you are preparing a report, and that what takes a huge amount of time. So how you can minimize this time which is required for document preparation? If you can minimize this time, which is wasting the overall time, then only you can achieve agility. So agility can be achieved by avoiding things which waste time. So now let's see, I have already told you, agility means easily moved, light, nimble, etc. So based on the lightweight methodologies, lightweight methodology means give emphasis on less documentation, try to document very less, try to make less planning, don't make plan for the whole year. Only in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, what you have to do, make for that. So make the less plan, or use less time for this planning, only for a short period, maybe for 2 weeks, not for the whole year. So based on the lightweight methodologies, that means by using less documentation and less planning, having dynamic in nature, don't make your development process static. That means one mistake is done, you cannot go back to the immediate step. Isn't it static? If you have proposed some scope, if you have calculated some cost, it cannot be changed. That is static. But in regards Agile, what you have to do, you have to make it dynamic. You have to make the development process dynamic in nature. The scope can be changed. Requirements can be changed at any time. Design can be changed. Cost estimation can be changed. That is known as dynamic. So make your system, make your model dynamic. So this lightweight methodologies and the dynamic nature, they are the major strengths of Agile software development. This Agile software development, it provides an environment to accommodate frequent changes as per market standards and the customer needs. This is the greatest advantage. I have already told you in waterfall model, etc. You cannot change your request frequently. Once requirement specification is completed, your requirements are frozen. You cannot change. But the market does not say that thing. Customer will come or even at the last moment, no, you have to change my requirements. These are my new requirements. If you will say that no, I cannot change, then they will move to another company. So how to provide an environment, in order to accommodate frequent changes from the customers as per the market standards and customer needs, that is what is needed nowadays. That can be provided by Agile software development only. Besides Agile software development, it is an iterative and incremental development method. I hope you have already known. After this waterfall model, you have known iterative development, incremental development. So it is an, we do not have time to go into that. Those who want to know details about iterative models, incremental models, you can see Professor Rajimal's book or Pressman books. So basically, Agile software development, it is an iterative and incremental development. In a number of iterations, don't build the product in one loop. Use several iterations to get the product. Similarly, don't make everything in one go. You may develop the project, develop the product incrementally. For example, you are developing a word processing package. What you do in incremental approach? First, you develop the core functionalities, how to save a document, etc. Then next increment, you add how to make it bold, how to make it italic, how to make it underline, etc. Next increment, you add the features, how you can spell check, how you can grammatical check, etc. Next increment, you can make how to make it double aligned, left side aligned, right side aligned, or both aligned. So many features. Next iteration, you see how the equations you can add in add that feature. Next, how you can add the symbols. So like that, in incremental manner, try to develop the project. So this Agile software development, it supports iterative and incremental development. Also, it is customer centered. It's not developer centered. What customer is saying, any change coming at any time from the customer, this model can accommodate that. That is the beauty of Agile software development. The Agile process consists of multiple sprints. Very often it is asked, what do you mean by sprint? So Agile means, the Agile process consists of multiple sprints. Sprint means, we say that it is roughly saying sprint means iterations or runs or development cycles. These words you can use interchangeably. So roughly sprints means iterations or runs or development cycles. But in Agile terminology, we use the sprints for these words. So what you are doing in each sprint? In each sprint, a specific software feature is developed and it is tested, refined, and documented. Don't make the whole software product in one sprint. In every sprint, only a particular feature, only a particular functionality it is developed, then it is coded, then it is tested, refined, and documented. But however, because the Agile development, it depends upon the context of the project. So testing is not done for the whole product. Testing is performed differently in every sprint. So while you are taking a particular sprint, you have to do testing, and that methodology might be different for the testing while you are doing testing in the next sprint. So testing is performed differently in every sprint. So now let's say I have already told you several drawbacks of waterfall models. So to overcome these shortcomings of the waterfall model, it was proposed in mid-1990s. So it was proposed when? It was proposed in mid-1990s. And why it was designed? So this model was primarily designed to help projects to adapt to change requests, because classical waterfall model, it cannot adapt change requests. If customers are saying any change At any point of time, this cannot be accommodated. Once requirements specification is completed, the requirements are frozen. You cannot make changes. So, but here, this agile, that was the greatest drawback, but the market demands, customer demands anytime, because see, government policy changing every time, very frequently. The business policy changes very frequently. So you should accommodate those change requests. The model should accommodate the change requests from the customers. So agile model was primarily designed to help the projects to adopt these change requests. In the agile model, what we are doing, the requirements are decomposed into many small incremental parts. We are not considering all the requirements. The requirements in agile model are decomposed into many small incremental parts which can be developed over 1 to 4 weeks each. So that we call as a sprint. The length of a sprint, the duration of a sprint normally 1 to 4 weeks. So that means what you can accomplish within 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that you take up once. That we call as a sprint. Don't take all the 100 requirements at once. The requirements are decomposed into many small groups, into many small incremental parts, such that those small requirements can be completed during 1 week to 4 weeks. That we call as a sprint. Instead of taking all the 100 requirements, we will divide into maybe some 10 groups, 10, 10, 10, 10. And each 10 requirement, it is supposed that you can complete those 10 within 1 to 4 weeks. Now let's quickly look at the history, how this agile model was developed. On February 11 to 13, 2001, at the Lodge at Snowbird Sky Resort in the Wasatch Mountains of Utah, 17 people met. Why? They met to talk, sky, relax, and try to find some common ground, and of course also to eat. So on that day, the 17 people they have met. Let's see what are the outcome of this meeting and who are the persons they have met. So in that meeting, repenting from extreme programming, Scrum, DSTM, ASD, Crystal, feature-driven development, pragmatic programming, and many others. Those are sympathetic to the need for an alternative to the document-driven heavyweight software development process convened. So previously people are using what? Heavily documentation-driven method, heavyweight software development process. Those are all happening in classical waterfall models or the traditional software development lifecycle model. So in order to overcome these drawbacks, 17 persons from these companies like SP, Scrum, DSTM, etc. they met together how an alternative can be found to overcome these difficult models or these weak models. The outcome of this meeting was a manifesto for agile software development. Okay, at the end of the meeting, what was the outcome? The outcome of this meeting was a manifesto for agile software development, which was signed by all the participants present in that meeting. So this is the manifesto for agile software development. So I am reading only few others. You can see, like the focus was on individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Okay, so what was there? The focus was on individuals and interactions over the processes and the tools. Similarly, focus on working software, how a working software can be developed, can be produced over comprehensive documentation. They are not emphasizing on the comprehensive documentation as it was done in classical waterfall model. The focus was on how to develop working software. Similarly, the focus was on customer collaboration, how you can collaborate in a better way with the customers over contract negotiation. They are not giving emphasis on the how to negotiate the contract. Similarly, this I have already told you, responding to change over following a rigid plan. They are trying to get rid of following or using a rigid plan. The focus was responding to change. Anytime any customer is saying make this change, how to address that one, how to incorporate that one. So the focus was on responding to change over following a plan. So these are the manifestos. This is the manifesto for agile software development. What are the principles? The highest priority is given to satisfy the customer. How a customer will be satisfied? If you can give the valuable software, working software more early and the continuous delivery. You have known the drawback of the waterfall model. You have to wait till the end of the life cycle, maybe 1 year or 2 years. By that time, the customer will lose the patience, he will be irritated. But if you can say every month or so, you can give a module much early and a continuous delivery. Suppose module 1 is ready, give it to customer. He will be working on this, testing on this, you develop module 2. At the end of second month, give module 2 to customer. You will be using, testing, giving feedback. Then you develop module 3 like this. So if you can give a product much early and continuously you can deliver the valuable product, may not be the full product, a part of this, then the customer will be happy. So another principle is that we welcome changing requirements even late in the development, which is not possible in classical waterfall model. Anytime a customer is saying that I require a change the requirements, as a developer, you have to incorporate it. That is the next principle. Agile processes, they harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So in order to have customers' competitive advantage, the agile processes, they harness the change for the change of the request or the change requirement request. Here I have already told you the delivery period is not 1 year or so. It varies from a couple of weeks to couple of months, maybe 1 week to 4 weeks. So here the delivery period is not too long. Every 1 week or few weeks that you can deliver a product, and that period we call as a sprint. That sprint may vary from the duration 1 week to 4 weeks. Whatever you can, how many requirements you can do. Maybe there are 10 requirements. Within this 1-2 weeks, you can prepare 2. Okay, so those 2 requirements complete, design, code, test, hand over to the customer. So that's what that in one sprint you have given this working product to this customer so that he will be happy. So that within maybe what you can say 10 sprints, you will be able to complete the whole product. So that is how the Agile manifesto or the Agile model works. So another important principle is that another principle is efficient communication. How you can communicate with the team members as well as the customers. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is what? Face-to-face conversation. So try to meet the customers or within your development team members face-to-face, not through email or to telephone, etc. That will enhance the communication skill. That is another important principle behind Agile manifesto. For effective communication, use face-to-face conversation. And another principle is working software. I have already told you. You have to produce on working software at the end of one sprint. So at the end of a sprint, produce a working software. So working software is the primary measure of the progress of your project. How your project is progressing, how you can measure? By producing one working software at the end of a sprint. So that's why you can measure the progress of your project. This is the ideology, Agile manifesto. This I have already told you. In Agile technology, Agile models, the focus is on individuals and the interactions over the process and tools as we are doing in the classical models. Similarly, the focus is on working software, producing working software over comprehensive documentation, what we are doing earlier in the traditional models. Similarly, the focus is on customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Try to collaborate in a better way with the customer rather than negotiating the contract. And the most important point is responding to change. Whenever the customer is saying that this change I want in the software, immediately you have to adhere to that, immediately you have to incorporate that, responding to change over following a rigid plan. And that was happening, rigid plan in the classical models. Okay. So now I will give some examples of Agile methodologies because that will be the practical thing. Which thing, what is the particular, what are the methodologies available? Okay. So these methodologies are available. For example, XP, that stands for Extreme Programming, Scrum, Unified Process, Crystal, DSDM, Lean, and so many. I have given some examples which are coming under the Agile methodologies. I have planned also I will discuss one out of this. We don't have to have time. Last 20 minutes I will take to discuss about Scrum. Extreme Programming you can also find out anywhere else. Anyway, these all are available in nets and other books. I will take up only one at the Scrum to discuss how in companies it works. Because see, I have taken these subjects, I have chosen this subject because many of you are UG students, which will work, which will use when you will join in some software industry. So please listen it. After that, any point of time, any doubt, you please ask me. See, now I am giving you another difference that occurs between the traditional software development and the agile software development. Very important. See, in traditional, what was happening, the time was vertical. Any point of time you take, either you are doing analysis, design, coding, or testing, or maintenance. The time was vertical. But you see, in case of lean principle or any agile principle, the time is not vertical, it's horizontal. See, some slices are there. Any point of time you talk, you are doing a part of analysis, a part of design, a portion of coding, and a portion of testing. But you see here, in traditional, it's vertical. You take any point, either only you are doing analysis or design or coding or testing. But in contrast, in agile technology, at any point of time, you are doing all. Some portion you are doing requirement analysis, some portion you are doing design, some portion you are doing coding, and some portion or some part of testing. So it is vertical. So it is a better way of doing this same in this in this agile terminology. Here this is shown. What is shown here? The end-to-end small slices of work. It is partitioned. At any point of time, you are combining the works from analysis, design, coding, and testing. This is a better way of doing this same. So the agile model. Let's see who are the stakeholders in agile model. These are the stakeholders, developers, quality assurance members. You know, every organization have a quality assurance cell. So at least one member from quality assurance cell should be there. Quality assurance members, testers, project owners, customer, like this. So these are the stakeholders of this agile model when you are following agile model. Okay, and I have already told you that one of the major features of agile model or agile software development is to have effective communication between all the team members. I have already told you how you can achieve effective communication through face-to-face conversation. Next, another important feature of agile process is its iterative delivery. It's not only one time at the end of the development period. At the end of development period, no. At the end of every sprint, you have to produce something that should be a working product. So, an iteration or delivery cycle in agile software development method, it ranges from what? 1 to 4 weeks. I have already told you the sprint, the duration of the sprint is normally 1 to 4 weeks. So within every 1 week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks, you have to produce some workable or working products. This is a small agile, this is agile model I have shown here. The features are like iterative planning. I have already told you about iterative planning that we use in agile model. Then increased communication and the team ownership. You should have ownership. This is my product, this is my project. That feeling should have come. And team ownership. First, what we are doing, we are collecting the requirements or requirements gathering. I have already told you, we use an iterative method. At the end of every iteration, we deliver some working product. We keep continuing feedback. We collect feedback continuously from the different stakeholders, and then we also review continuously and test the products. So finally, we will get the deployable product, and the team members are adaptable in nature. So this is a very rough diagram for this agile software development model. So we will quickly say about this the nitty-gritty of agile model. I already told you at any point of time only one increment is planned. Don't plan for the whole 1 year. That's the drawback, because changes are coming very frequently. If you will plan for the whole 1 year, you cannot accommodate the change. You cannot accommodate the change request. So don't plan for the whole 1 year or 2 year, very large period. Please plan for a very less time. At a time, only one increment is planned. It is developed, deployed at the customer site. No long-term plans are made in agile models. So that's why don't make plan for the whole year. An iteration may not add significant functionalities. Till then, a new release is invariably made at the end of each iteration. So at the end of each iteration, you have to build, you have to produce a new release. This is delivered to the customer for regular use. So this new release at the end of this iteration, it has to be delivered to the customer for regular use. Okay. This is a what life cycle, agile software development life cycle I have shown. You see, emphasis on change requirements. It's moving from left to right, and the left is what we start from requirement analysis, then design, then coding, testing, etc. Several iterations are used. Testing is embedded in every phase. We are continuously building the product. So emphasis on change request. Whenever any change request is coming on the design phase, accommodate that one. If any change request is coming while you are coding, then also you have to incorporate. If any change request is coming from the customer at the testing phase, then also you have to incorporate. So like that, changing requirements are incorporated in every iteration, in every phase. Okay, in this way, we continuously build the product. Stakeholders, I have already told you, the stakeholders are the manager, the developers, testers, marketing professional, and customer. Their activities are shown here, that the customer does what, marketing personnel does what, tester does what, their activities are shown. These are easy things you can see yourself. We'll quickly look at the small about the methodology. I have already told you here, focus is on communication. Effective communication. How effective communication can be achieved? Through face-to-face conversation. So face-to-face communication or face-to-face conversation is preferred, is favored over written documents. Don't spend time in writing heavy documents. So just face-to-face communication is sufficient. You have to give time for face-to-face communication over writing the documents in Agile. That is one of the greatest advantage, important feature of this Agile methodology. Then how you can facilitate face-to-face communication? In order to facilitate face-to-face communication, the development team should share a single office space, and the team size should be less, maybe 5 to 10 or so. And this will make the Agile model most suited to the development of small projects. So since your team size is small, you are using a single building space. So these Agile models are normally suitable for small size projects. I have shown here the difference between the traditional communication modes and the modern communication modes. So I have shown the communication effectiveness. Traditionally, we are using papers for communication, everything else you are writing, then you are using audio tapes, then people are using email conversation. But nowadays, we are moving from cold to hot like this. We are making communication through email conversation, then phone conversation, again it is faster, then video conversation, again much efficient, face-to-face conversation is again much efficient, and face-to-face at whiteboard, still it is more effective. So these are the effectiveness of communication modes, and nowadays in Agile software development, people are using mostly these last two, face-to-face conversation as well as face-to-face whiteboard, face-to-face conversation at whiteboard. This will increase the effectiveness of the communication modes. This is followed in Agile models. So Agile documentation, I have already told you, you need not have to do heavy documentation, very light, very small, which is bare minimum that you have to do. So travel light. You need very less documentation, you need fair less documentation than you think. The Agile documents, they are very concise in nature, describe the information that is less likely to change. That means those will not change, only you document those things. Those who are changing frequently, those document them. So describe information that is less likely to change. We have to describe the good things to know. Which things we should know? Good things to know, they are described in the Agile document. So Agile document, they describe good things to know. Or they are sufficiently accurate, they are consistent, and they are detailed. So now I have already told you we should document very less. So why we could have made a zero documentation? Why you were saying less? Let's see what are the reasons why you should document those things, the bare minimum things. Because the different project stakeholders require it. You are the developer, you know what you are doing. But if your manager wants to know, you have to see, refer some documents. What are the requirements? What are the test cases? He has to know. So different project stakeholders require it. So the bare minimum things you have to document. To define a contract model, you want to sign a contract model with this customer, you require a document, the bare minimum thing. To support communication with an external group, if nothing is there, everything verbal, everything ad hoc, then how to communicate? To support communication with an external group, we require this documentation. And finally, to think something thoroughly. If I want to think something thoroughly, just without absurd or without having anything else document, I cannot think. So to think something thoroughly, we require the minimum things, the bare minimum things to be documented. Now let's see how the requirements are managed in software agile software method. What we do, all the requirements, they are arranged in the form of a stack. You see, this is a stack. The requirements are arranged in the form of a stack. The requirements, what happens, each iteration implement the highest priority requirements. Okay, each iteration it implements what? The highest priority requirements. How? See, each new requirement, whenever a new requirement is coming, it is prioritized because all the requirements are not of the same priority. So some requirements are high priority, they are having high priority values, and some requirements are less, like say GUI kind of thing. I can give a less priority. But if you are doing this examination thing, so one requirement is computing the grade. That should be of top priority. But writing this detailed address or parents name may be a less priority kind of thing. So each requirement, each new requirement is prioritized and added to the stack. So we are arranging in the form of priority. At the bottom of the stack, low priority requirements are there. At the top, the high priority requirements are there. If any time any requirement is coming, we'll see what is the priority, and it is fitted in its place accordingly. So each iteration, it implements the highest priority requirements. Always the high priority requirements, top priority requirements are taken first and they are implemented. Requirements may be reprioritized at any time. Suppose the government rule changes, business policy changes, you can also reprioritize the requirement and accordingly their positions can be changed. Requirements may be removed at any time. So due to the change in the government policy or business rules, sometimes some of the requirements they get actually irrelevant, they get obsolete. So those requirements you can remove from the stack at any point of time. This is how the requirements are managed in the agile model. So a few detractors of few adoption detractors of this agile model. I have told so many advantages. Major advantage is adoption to or you can say the change requirements. Request for changing the requirements or the change requirements can be accommodated at any time. That's the greatest advantage. So still then few detractors are there, few adoption detractors are there. For example, the definitions are sketchy. The sketchy definitions make it possible to have inconsistent and diverse definitions. For agile model, high quality people skills are required. I have already told you the sprint size is duration is very less, maybe 1 week to 4 weeks. Due to the short iterations, they inhibit long-term perspective. You cannot think, you cannot make long-term plans. The short iterations inhibit long-term perspective. Higher risks due to feature creep. So you may have higher risks due to feature creep. So it will be harder to manage the feature creep and customer expectations. Customer is expecting something due to this less time. So it will be difficult to manage, difficult to quantify cost, time and quality. In agile model, it will be difficult to quantify the associated cost, the time required and the quality of the product. These are some of the few adoption detractors. Okay, so a few of the shortcomings are rather here written. Here this model derives agility to developing tacit knowledge within the team rather than any formal document. Like in waterfall model, there is a very formal document, but here that formal document is not there, maybe a shortcoming. So since any formal document is not there, then this functions, objectives can be misinterpreted. Very difficult to get external reviews. And when the project is because everything is verbal, face-to-face communication. So when the project is complete and the team vanishes, then maintenance becomes difficult. Because why? Due to less documentation. You are having very less documentation. How to maintain in the future? Because who has developed the team members, they have vanished, they have left the job or somewhere else. How to manage? How to maintain? That will become a problem. So these are some of the few shortcomings of these agile models. Okay. So quickly you will compare between agile model and the waterfall model. I have already told you in waterfall model the stages or the phases are planned sequence. They are arranged in the planned sequence. Steps of waterfall model are a planned sequence. That means first requirement analysis, then design, then coding, then testing, then maintenance, etc. How you measure the progress in waterfall model? You measure the progress in terms of delivered artifacts, whether at the end of SRS requirement analysis, SRS document is ready or not. Whether they are at the end of design documents such as DFD, UML diagrams, they are ready or not. At the end of testing, whether test plans, test summary reports, these are prepared or not. In this way, you can measure the progress. But in Agile model, what happens? The delivery of working versions of a product in several increments. We have to deliver the working versions of a product in several increments. At the end of a sprint, at the end of every sprint, we produce, or the model, this method produces some working versions of the software. Okay. What is the similarity? In regards to, or as regards to similarity, we can say that Agile teams, they use waterfall model on a small scale, because in Agile also we are doing requirement analysis, then design, coding and testing. So we can say that Agile teams, they use waterfall model but on a small scale. So these are the differences and similarities between Agile model and waterfall model. So my first half of the talk is over. Now I will come to the particular case. Well, Scrum, I have already told you there are different methodologies. They are coming under Agile umbrella. They are extreme programming, Scrum, unified process, BSDM, Lean, etc. I have chosen, I will take Scrum because we are running out of time. So next 20 minutes we will discuss about Scrum. So till that, any doubt till now? Anybody wants to ask any doubt? Because the generic format, the general description, the general characteristics or the generic description of Agile I have already explained. Now I will apply those principles to the particular model, that is Scrum. So if any doubt, you can ask right now. Otherwise, you will go to the Scrum model. Okay. Or if you want, you can put the questions at the end of the lecture also. That is also possible. Anytime if you want any questions, I can address. Okay, so since no questions are coming, let's complete this. Then we will give 5-10 minutes for the question answer. In the introduction for Scrum, I have already told you Scrum is an Agile framework. This model concentrates on how the team members should function to produce the system flexibly in a constantly changing environment, where the requirements are changing frequently. At that time, Scrum is a very good framework. This is an Agile framework which can easily handle the change requests, which can easily work in a changing environment. Scrum model is concerned with the product owner. Who are the stakeholders in Scrum? The product owner, project lead, the whole team members, the team working together. Why they are working? They are working together in an intensive and interdependent manner. Okay. So these are the stakeholders involved in Scrum. Now let's see what are the phases in Scrum. Scrum process has 3 important phases. We call them as pre-game phase, development phase, and post-game phase. Let's see how do they work. Before going to further, or before moving further, let's see what are the different identifiable roles in Scrum. These are the 6 identifiable roles in Scrum. So every Scrum must have a master, we call as Scrum Master. Then the product owner, the Scrum team members. I have already told you in Agile, normally the team member size is 5 to 9. So Scrum team also should have 5 to 9 team members. Then of course customer is a stakeholder. Then the user, because there can be different. So between customer and user, you are developing for the product, and in turn they are, suppose you are developing a product for LIC, but end user is the policy holder. So there is a difference between LIC, the customer. If you are TCS developing a product for LIC, so TCS is the developer, LIC is the customer, and the beneficiaries, policy holders are the users. They are also stakeholders, and the overall management. The management also another the stakeholder. So these are the identifiable roles in Scrum, which have different tasks and purposes during the process and its practices. Let's quickly look at the important characteristics. So the important characteristics are for Scrum as follows. These are self-organizing teams. Nobody will build this team size, team structure. They are self-organizing in nature. So they are self-organizing teams. The product progresses in a series of month-long sprints. I have already told you, we develop the product in terms of some what iterations or runs or development cycles. These iterations or runs or development cycles, they are known as sprints, and their duration is what? Maximum up to 1 month, maybe 1 week to 4 weeks. The requirements which are captured maybe from the customers or from the users, the requirements which are captured, they are kept as items in a list, and that list we call as a product backlog. Very important. In Scrum we say, what do you mean by product backlog? So product backlog is a list which contains the requirements which are captured as items. Okay, the requirements which are captured as items are kept in a list, and that list is called as a PBL, product backlog list. I have already told you Scrum is one of the agile processes. This is important. Let's see how does this. We have known already classical waterfall model or SDLC, software development life cycle. Let's see how this Scrum life cycle it works. So I have already told you first step is collect the requirements. We have collected the requirements. Then what we are doing? We are putting in a list. That list we are calling PBL, product backlog list. So product backlog list is a list of the requirements. Then we are selecting the sprint size, maybe 1 week to 4 weeks. Depending on this volume in this sprint, how much what requirements you can do. Suppose there are 10 requirements, and in a sprint, that means within these 2 to 4 weeks you can only complete 2 requirements. It's a requirement analysis, design, coding, everything. Only you can complete 2. So those 2 you bring from the product backlog list to another list that we call as SBL, sprint backlog list. Okay. Initially we have collected suppose 10 requirements. We put in a list called as product backlog list. Then we define what will be our sprint size. It say 2 weeks. Then we'll anticipate within 2 weeks how much requirements we can complete, say 2. Those 2 we have taken out from this stack, and that 2 will become a list, and we call that sprint backlog. So sprint backlog means the list of items, the list of requirements, they can be completed during 1 sprint. Then we apply this Scrum methodology. Okay, let's see. We call it we most popularly call as daily Scrum. Let's see, in daily Scrum what do we do? We do the daily Scrum meeting every day. At the beginning of the day we have to call a meeting. We call as daily Scrum meeting. Then we'll do this design, then coding, then testing. These are followed in every Scrum. We call as daily Scrum. Then the output will be a product. We call as a product increment. At the end of the daily Scrum, we'll get some product increment. We'll get some workable product increment. So that we will review. So at the end of daily Scrum, what we are getting, we have to review. We call as sprint review. And after review, we'll document it. And what we will get at the end, we'll get a product increment. At the end of the daily Scrum, we'll get a product increment. This is how the Scrum life cycle it works. So what I have told, I have explained those in the next slides. You can see the aspect. Sprint, I have already told you. The Scrum projects progress in a series of sprints. Those who have known extreme programming, so in extreme programming, so we call them as XP iterations. So the sprints are analogous to the XP iterations or the time boxes. And I have already told you the sprint size maximum is normally 1 month. That means 1 week to 4 weeks. During this sprint, what happens? The software increment is designed, it is coded, and it is tested. Okay. So during the sprint, the software increment is designed, coded, and tested. Please remember, whatever changes will be made at the end of the sprint. Normally, no changes are entertained during a sprint. So, and you know already sprint size is less, maximum 1 week to 4 weeks. So if any change is coming, it will be done at the end of the sprint. So Scrum framework, there are 3 important elements we will discuss in under Scrum framework. One is roles. So we have already told you there are 6 roles: product owner, Scrum master, Scrum team, customer, end user, and management. There are some ceremonies that happen during Scrum called as sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and daily Scrum meeting. Out of this daily Scrum meeting, I have already shown here. Then what are the artifacts final will get at the end of the the Scrum we'll see some artifacts you will use or will get. The artifacts that may be obtained during Scrum are as follows. Product backlog, I have already shown you. Product backlog is the beginning. Initially, you are using product backlog. Similarly, another artifact is the sprint backlog, and another backlog is burn down chart. This is the output. At the end of the Scrum, we want to have some results, maybe in form some charts or graphs. We call them as burn down charts. So let's quickly discuss on this. First, about the responsibilities of the team members, the roles, the responsibilities of the team members. These are easy. You can read yourself. Like the product owner, he represents the customer's views and the interest of the customers. Development team, I have already told you, size is in between 5 to 10. So team of 5 to 10 people are formed with cross-functional skill sets. Not only that, you will be only just the coder. You should have also, being a coder, you should have some knowledge of testing, some knowledge of requirement analysis. That's why you take team of 5 to 10 people with cross-functional skill sets, not exactly only coding or testing or design. You have to have skill test of multiple. Maybe you are a better programmer, better coder, but you have little bit knowledge of testing like this. Also, you can take some people from testing, some people from quality assurance, some people from design, some people from requirement analysis. Like this, you will take. Another person is Scrum Master. We also call him as the project manager. So the major responsibility of Scrum Master is that he facilitates the Scrum process and he resolves the impediments at the team and the organizational level. How? By acting as a buffer between the team and the outside interference. So Scrum Master, he will act as the buffer between the development team and the outside interference. So he facilitates the Scrum process. If any impediments are there, he resolves the impediments at the team level as well as the organizational level by acting as a buffer between the team and the outside interference. So product owner, let's see the responsibilities of product owner. He defines the features of the product. He decides on release date and content, when the product will be released, what will be content of this release, that he will decide. He will also prioritize the features according to the usefulness. What will the functionalities? He will prioritize the features, he will prioritize the functionalities according to their usefulness. He is also responsible to adjust the features and prioritize every iteration as needed, whenever needed, because I have already told you the requirements priority can be changed depending upon the government rule changes or the business policy changes. Who will do that? Product owner. So he will adjust the features and priority. He will change the priority of every iteration. He can adjust the features and priority of every iteration as and when needed. He accepts or rejects the work results. If your team member has done some work, that work product, the product owner, if he is satisfied, he will first accept or he will reject. Then it will go to the customer or the user. So he can accept or reject the work result. These are the responsibilities of this product owner. Then about Scrum Master, he represents the management in the project. So from the management side, the Scrum Master represents the management in the project. If any impediments are there, he removes those impediments. Another responsibility of Scrum Master is that he ensures that the team is fully functional and productive. He enables close operation across all roles and functions. There should be some coordinator. There should be some moderator. Who will do that? The Scrum Master. The Scrum Master enables close operation across all roles and functions. He shields the team from external interferences. So if there are some external interferences, somebody should protect. Who will protect? The Scrum Master. The Scrum Master shields, or the Scrum Master protects the team members from the external interferences. Okay. Some team members, I have already told you, size is within 5 to 10 members. They should have cross-functional skills, like they should have quality. There should be some members from quality assurance cell. That is, there should be some quality assurance engineers, some programmers, some user interface designers, some system analysts, etc. The teams are self-organizing. I have already told you, nobody will compose or organize these team members. Teams are self-organizing. So right now you may play the role of a coder, but later on you may do the role of the tester. That we call as pair-wise programming. So membership can change only between sprints. So during a sprint, you cannot change the membership. So membership can be changed if required only between the sprints. Okay. So what is a sprint? I have already told you. This is just like we call as iteration or run. This is the fundamental process flow of Scrum. I have also told you that it's a month-long iteration. Maximum 1 week to 4 weeks can be given to a sprint. It is usually a month-long iteration. During this time, an incremental product functionality is completed. I have already told you during a sprint, an incremental product functionality is completed. One working product you have to produce during the sprint. No outside influence is allowed to interference with the Scrum team during the sprint. So the customer can interact, but not during the sprint. After the sprint is completed, that's why I have told during sprint you cannot make any change. So nobody is allowed to interact. So no outside influence is allowed to interact with the Scrum team during sprint. It can be done when a sprint is completed. I have already told you each day begins with the daily Scrum meeting. So in the Scrum, every day it starts with the daily Scrum meeting. Okay. So what are the ceremonies? I have already told you. The ceremonies are sprint planning meeting, daily Scrum, and sprint review meeting. These are the important ceremonies in Scrum. Let's first see about sprint planning. Now, let's see about sprint planning. So what is the objective of sprint planning? The objective or the goal of sprint planning is to produce the sprint backlog. I have already told you I am initially having the product backlog, but I have to then create a sprint backlog. That means in a sprint how many requirements I can handle. So sprint backlog is a subset of product backlog. Find out how many requirements you can handle. Create the sprint backlog accordingly. So in sprint planning, the objective is to create a sprint backlog from the product backlog. The product owner, it works with the team to negotiate what backlog items are there. Okay. So in this sprint backlog, what you will put, what you will keep, or what you will consider, you have to think. Who will do that? Product owner will do that. So the product owner works with the team to negotiate with the backlog items. What the Scrum Master does, the Scrum Master ensures that the team agrees to the realistic goals. So this sprint backlog, the requirements of chosen, they must be realistic. You should be able to complete it. They can be completed, they can be realized. The Scrum Master ensures that the team members, they agree to the realistic goals. If something unrealistic, somebody requirement is that I should use satellite communication for this for this project. I do not have facility to satellite communication. This is unrealistic for me because I'm a small company. I'm having a small company. So don't go for those kinds of goals. So the Scrum, who will ensure that? The Scrum Master ensures that the team agrees to the realistic goals only. Any unrealistic goals should not be taken into consideration, should not be taken into account. Next sprint, ceremony is daily Scrum meeting. I have already told you. It happens at the beginning of every day. Now, that's why this is known as daily Scrum meeting. It happens daily. Normally, it continues for 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. It's just a stand-up meeting, not for problem solving. Then what we discuss in the daily Scrum meeting? 3 important questions are discussed in daily Scrum meeting. First, what did you do yesterday? Because every day you are doing this Scrum meeting. What did you do yesterday? Today, what you will do? And what obstacles are in your way? What you have done yesterday, what obstacles you have faced. So whether those obstacles are again expected to come today. So what obstacles are there in your way. So these things are discussed in daily Scrum meeting. And I have already told you, it is not a problem solving session. It is also not a way to collect the information about who is behind the schedule, but then what it represents, why you should conduct daily Scrum. It is a meeting in which the team members review what is done till now and make informal commitments to each other and to the Scrum Master. They commit today, yesterday we have done up to this, today we will do this. That means yesterday we have completed one requirement, today we will do other requirements, or another one requirement will complete. Or yesterday we have done the analysis thing, today we must complete all the data flow diagrams, we will design all the UML diagrams. So that commitment they make among each other and to the Scrum Master. It's a good way for the Scrum Master to track the progress of the team. So if you will do this meeting, you can easily analyze what you have done yesterday, what you are going to do today. So the Scrum Master can easily track what is the progress of the team. And if you are not running as per this schedule, then the Scrum Master can advise how to do, what to do, so that you can meet your own target. Then the last one is perhaps sprint review meeting. What you do here? The team presents what it accomplished during the sprint. So during the sprint, what the team members have accomplished, they will present. Typically takes the form of a demo of new features. So what new features you have added, you can give a demo. Typically the team members, the team takes the form of a, or typically the sprint review meeting, it takes the form of a demo of new features. The team members will discuss, they will give a demo of the new features that they have developed, they have implemented. It's an informal meeting, maybe 2-hour preparation time rule is followed. Who are the participants in sprint review meeting? The customers, management, product owners, and other team members. They are present in this sprint review meeting. Then we'll come to this, what the artifacts. I have already told 3 important artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, and burn down chart. Product backlog, I have already told you. It is a list of all desired work on the project. I mean, this is the list of all what required requirements, desired requirements that has to be completed. That is the product backlog list. Usually it is a combination of story-based work and task-based work. Story-based work means let user search and replace. They will just search and replace. We call them as story-based work. Task-based work means improve exception handling. You want to improve the exception handling feature. So those things are coming under task-based work. They are used to improve exception handling. Then the list is prioritized by the product owner. I have already told you how the requirements can be prioritized. The requirements in the product backlog list is okay. Now the items in the product backlog list are prioritized by the product owners. So typically a product manager, marketing, or internal customer. Who is a product owner? He can be a product manager or a marketing personnel or internal customer, etc. So the product backlog, the requirements for the system, they are expressed as a prioritized list of backlog items. I have already told you in the form of a stack. So product backlog means it is the set of requirements for a system which are expressed as a prioritized list of backlog items. It is managed and owned by the product owners, and normally the product backlog is prepared with a spreadsheet. I hope you know what is a spreadsheet. The product backlog is represented in the form of a spreadsheet. I have prepared a sample list here. I have prepared a sample product backlog list, like where the severity is written priority, very high, high, medium, etc. Item number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Description of these items like finish database versioning, get rid of unneeded shared Java in database, add licensing, analysis manager, etc. And similarly, what is the estimated day or estimated duration or estimated hours, and next column is by who will do. This is short form KH, TG, these are names by whom it will be completed. So this is how a sample product backlog list can be prepared in the form of a spreadsheet. So then sprint backlog, I have already told you. Sprint backlog is a, what we can say, it is a subset of a product backlog. So sprint backlog is a subset of product backlog items which defines the work for a particular sprint. Sprint backlog is created by the team members. Each item has its own status, and the sprint backlog is updated daily, because daily you see how many features or how many functionalities you have completed. Accordingly, you bring more items, more requirements from the product backlog list. So sprint backlog list is updated daily. So sprint backlog, during the sprint, changes may occur. Okay. So while you are preparing the sprint backlog, while you are considering the sprint backlog, so changes may occur. We have to incorporate the changes given by the customers or these users. Changes may occur. Team members, they add new tasks whenever they need in order to meet the sprint goal. They may add new tasks. They may remove the irrelevant tasks. Team members can remove the unnecessary tasks, the irrelevant tasks. Now, but sprint backlog can only be updated by the team members. If you want to update the sprint backlog, that can be only done by the team members, not by the users, etc. The estimates are updated whenever there is new information. So when some new requirement is coming, when there is some new information coming, then the estimates are updated. Okay. So finally, I'll take 5 minutes more on these the last artifacts, that is burn down charts. So burn down charts are used to represent work done. So why you will use burn down charts? They are used to represent work done. What work you have done? They are used to represent work done. They are remarkably simple but effective information disseminators. They are very simple, but they are effective. But they are sources of effective information disseminators. 3 types of burn down charts are used in industry. One is sprint burn down chart, which will show the progress of the sprint, how the sprint is progressing. That can be shown using sprint burn down chart. Then release burn down chart. This shows the progress of the release, how the release is progress. In order to show the progress of the release burn down chart is used. Similarly, product burn down chart. This shows the progress of the product, how the product is progressing. The progress of the product is shown through product burn down chart. Okay. So I have already told you. Sprint burn down chart, it depicts the total sprint backlog hours remaining per day. Okay. So it depicts what? Sprint burn down chart depicts the total sprint backlog hours remaining per day. It also shows the estimated amount of time to complete, how much amount of time left. So the estimated amount of time to complete. Ideally should burn down to 0. That's why the name is burn down. Ideally this time should burn down to 0 to the end of the sprint. Actually, this burn down chart, it's not looks like a straight line. Actually, it's not a straight line. This is a sample sprint burn down chart. How we show the hours remaining versus the days. Normally, it should not be a straight line. Similarly, release burn down chart, I have already told you. Here, what do we show? We show the followings. Will the release be done on the right time? How many more sprints will be required? That can be shown by release burn down charts. X-axis represents the sprints, 0 sprint, first sprint, second sprint. Y-axis represents the amount of story points remaining. Story points mean the use cases, the functionalities, the features, the requirement, the functionalities. These are the story points. So this is where we can represent the release burn down chart. Finally, this is the product burn down chart. It is a big picture view. It is a big picture view of the project's progress. The whole project's progress is shown here, all the releases. So for all the releases, the whole project's progress is shown as a big picture. Left hand side sprint and right hand side the story points. Okay, this is how the product burn down chart looks like. Scalability of scrums. I have already told you the typically scrum team size is within 5 to 10 people. But Jeff Sutherland, he has proposed a scrum to over more than 800 people. This is known as scrum of scrums, or this is known as meta scrum. Okay, so some research works can be done further in this direction. You can, because the normal testing strategies, black box testing, white box testing, they may not be directly applicable here. So how testing of agile software can be done, one research direction. How we can perform maintenance activities on agile software, that we can do. Similarly, estimation of effort, cost and duration for agile software, that is under research work, where you can use machine learning techniques for estimation of effort, cost and duration for agile software, that is under research area. So these are future further some research directions in this area of agile software development. So that's all from my side. Sorry for taking 20 minutes extra. Thank you very much. I have taken mainly from these 2 books and from some other sources. So now I will take up any questions. Thank you very much. I will take some questions if you are interested.
Thank you so much, sir. I request the participants, if you have any questions and doubts, you can ask.
Sorry for taking a little bit more time, because otherwise it will be incomplete if I could not have taken that scrum.
That's fine, no problem.
Okay. So now I request one of our senior member, Professor Dr. Vinod Kumar Patnaik sir, on behalf of CSE department. Sir, could you please give the vote of thanks to us?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sadin. It was a pleasure to listen to Dr. Mohapatra on Agile software development. In fact, I know he is a master in the field of software engineering. I remember we together supervised one of the scholars from our university sometimes back, and I know his mastery. In fact, we are working in regression testing, and this presentation will be very useful for the UG students as well as the PG students. So far as the practical implementation work is concerned, it is mainly concerned with the evolution of software. Once you prepare a static software, it may not be possible to incorporate the changes in time. But with these methodologies, it is possible always in time. Very nicely, Dr. Mohapatra showed the horizontal line. That means at every point of time, you have to do analysis, design, coding, and testing, not like vertical in traditional software development. So, Dr. Mohapatra, thank you very much for a nice presentation. On behalf of the university, on behalf of our department, on behalf of the entire community of our School of Computer Science and Engineering, I extend you thanks and hope we will again meet in future if there would be a request to you. Kindly agree to that. All right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind invitation. Thank you very much. Thank you, the participants, for being with me.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much. And I thank all the participants.
Yes.
And of course, the organizer, Swadhin Barisal, who has done an excellent job inviting Dr. Mohapatra. So thank you all very much. Namaskar.
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. We'll end this session. Thank you. Namaskar, sir.
What?
Okay, sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
All right.
Sir, please allow me to end the session here, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you all the participants.